They've been able to have a true game plan, and I just see a much improved defense from the beginning of training camp to where they are now, finishing up the preseason.
Khalil Herbert, a couple of yards out of the end zone. Keelan Sloan in on the special teams tackle. Buddy Johnson over there as well. Those first half stats are brought to you, by the way, by Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel, voted #1 casino outside of Vegas by Newsweek. Must be 21 or over to enter. Please gamble responsibly. Adrian Martinez, Mac Jones had the first couple of drives. Ran the ball hard. Those two guys 10 carries for 57 yards. Martinez with some pressure goes the other way to Dinkins, the backup tight end, and he's tripped up by Greedy Vance. Remember, Vance had 10 tackles
right.
In the opener against Arizona.
He's not afraid to come up and put a hit on you. And that's what you have to do on the outside. It's one-on-one, you and the wide receiver or the tight end, and he's not afraid to go make some contact, force it to a minimal gain.
Martinez back to the air. It's the sideline. It's incomplete. Jermont McCoy in on the coverage. Daryl Hodge, the intended receiver.
Yeah, the one thing that's really clear to see is
got some third down, little double mugs in there. I like this.
Those mugs are Lindenberg and Shegu Alubi. They backed out of there. Martinez with pressure from behind, and he's sacked from behind. The pocket eventually collapsed. It's the rookie Kieron Crawford. Last week he had a huge run stop. That time it's a loss of 3.
Yeah, he's only got one speed, and that's just go fast all the time. He's a physical player. Comes out of Auburn, was at Arkansas State previous, but watch him. This is the effort. Watch the effort. See, he gets up, he's behind the quarterback. He doesn't stop. Look, I see, oh, I got it. There he is. Boom, make a play. And then the coverage behind, sticky. Greedy Vance, Jermont McCoy, Hezekiah Massis up top. Much improved defensive backs, young guys, from what we saw in the first week of preseason.
Yeah, one of the positives, right? That first game against Arizona, they had 5 scoring drives to start. They had a big-time pass plays from Gardner Minshew and Jacoby Brissett. Luke Benson is in trouble, and he's dropped at the 11-yard line. But it's been a different story, right? The last 5-6 quarters of football for the Raiders defense. McCoy, Massis, right tackle, with Jordan Meredith taking the snaps. Mendoza looking for the release, and he put it too high for Ian Thomas. Mendoza 5 of 9 in the first half, 38 yards. He had that interception on his second pass of the game. If you're just joining us, Kirk Cousins got the start, went 8 of 11 for 51 yards, had 2 drives, and the Raiders had a pair of field goals out of those first 2 drives.
There's just not enough reps for Fernando Mendoza. I mean, he needs as much work and practice in these preseason games as he can get.
Gumbawale picking his way out across the 20. The offensive line trying to drive. He's about a yard shy. And that gets into an all season long question here, Rich. When you have the #1 pick in the NFL draft, yes, Clint Kubiak has said, hey, I want all my guys competing. He has not come out and said, hey, this is my starter for week 1. But Kirk Cousins has gotten the starting reps. As you get into the season, then what do you do with the #1 pick and trying to get him those reps?
Well, they'll know when it's time, but yeah, he'll get as many reps in practice as he can, and a lot of it maybe after practice with some of the young guys. That's the challenge, because as you guys know, once the regular season starts, the focus shifts to the starters, and we got to get Kirk Cousins, you know, the majority of the reps. But at some point, you know, we're going to see a change, and I think the Raiders understand the importance of a solid infrastructure around a young quarterback. And so many of the moves this offseason were with supporting Mendoza in mind. It takes some time for Mendoza to reach his ceiling.
Toss play to Agumbawale. He is met and driven to the turf. Ashton Davis. Raiders picked up that first down for the hometown. American First Credit Union will be donating $100 to a local charity for every Raiders first down inside Allegiant Stadium this season. And that conversation, which, look, it's a natural one to have, right? Because 2018 Baker Mayfield, that is the last time a first overall pick quarterback did not start week 1. And all signs are pointing to that happening this year. So that conversation of when does he play, it'll be dictated obviously by how the season goes.
Yeah, it could be week to week. I mean, it's just it's the nature of our business. Throw it away.
Now he stays on his feet and he picks up nearly the first down. That looked like it was disaster.
He just feels it. We saw him do this countless times at Indiana, at Cal. He has the instincts that, you know what, I can make a play when the defense gives me that opportunity and just avoid the major hits. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I like the fact that he's athletic enough to run for a couple first downs each week. I think that's really important at that position.
Right, he just ran for a first down. He got low, QB sneak right through the middle, picks up 2.
You know, I just remember when I was the quarterback of the Raiders, we hired Jim Harbaugh to be a quarterback coach one year. And what Jim Harbaugh would do every Saturday morning, he would come in and he'd give the other quarterbacks a quarterback test to find out what they knew. I was getting all the reps. I didn't have to take the test, but Bobby Hoying and Marcus Tuias, well, they had to take the test. If I'm coaching this young quarterback, I'm going to find out where he's at mentally each week. If he's not getting the reps in practice, we're going to give a test every Saturday morning to make sure he's keeping up with the game plans. You got to find creative ways. You got to find creative ways to get him. If it's not the physical reps, we got to find creative ways to get Fernando Mendoza mental reps.
First down.
That is Victor Dimukeje.
Yeah, I think I'll add on to what you're talking about, Rich, as well. And in talking to Kirk Cousins yesterday, how much of a collaborative effort that quarterback room is. It's not just one guy leading the group. They have healthy conversations about the game plan. And what do you like, Aiden O'Connell? What do you like, even Jacob Clark, Fernando, Kirk Cousins? That's a good room Coach Sullivan
and he's
has going
sandwiched, as you point out, Kirk, he's sandwiched between 2 veteran quarterbacks. I think Aiden O'Connell could be a real asset in his growth and development as a young quarterback. That's why I think they'll keep 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah. That's a big question mark, right? Will the Raiders keep 3 quarterbacks? Because of what Aiden O'Connell showed us last week in the preseason game against Texans. Goes 96 yards, leads the team to a victory, and he doesn't get those reps with the 1s and 2s. He's doing it with some 3s, 4s, and even 5s if you got them. So it shows you just the knowledge in that room, led by some guys who've got some big reps in big games.
Back to the ground, Ogunbowale. Got about 2 or 3.
Well, I said this last week that, Aiden O'Connell in his 4th season, he's had 4 different head coaches and 6 different play callers. That's insane. It's not the way you want to develop any young quarterback, but he's been through a lot. He's a pretty resilient guy, and I think he can be a real asset in that quarterback room. I think he's got command of the offense. I think his real strength is from the neck up, as Coach Kubiak told us, and he's been working with Fernando Mendoza, and he's been willing to help the young quarterback, and that's how you get better, when you have a quarterback room where the guys enjoy one another's company and set their egos aside to work together to find wins.
Trying to pick up 3rd down. He goes to his college teammate Roman Hemby. He and Kalen Black were the battering duo for Indiana last year. Black's on the 49ers sideline. Hemby's first action, and he picks up the first down.
That was always an indicator for me when I had the running back in coverage as a linebacker. When that running back turns around, shows hands, now we got to converge and make a play. But these are how these backs are going to learn. Get that and get vertical. Nice job there by Hemby.
Roman Hemby, his time at Maryland, last year at Indiana, over 4,500 yards from scrimmage, and he has the carry. And he is drilled. Jalen Graham came up to make the stop. Tatum Bethune, who had the interception in the first quarter, is the one who forced him back inside. It'll be 2nd down and 11. Well, as they were walking off and Clint Kubiak put on the headset right before halftime, he said, "I want to run the football."
Get out of here. Getting the last preseason game, the last thing you want to do is see somebody get hurt.
Mendoza dumps it to Hemby again. Bounces off of one defender. Has the first down. It's 14 yards.
I love his knowledge of the zone right there. When I say knowledge of the zone is, watch Hemby. He's looking at the linebacker. He knows I'm going to turn to my left away from that linebacker who's coming from the right side. So he's aware of where he's at on the field. The spatial awareness, grab the football, turn left, get vertical.
And the quarterback is the eyes for the back who's got his arm open. You want to throw it to his left shoulder so he'll turn to his left.
Another tackle for Jaden Duggar, the rookie out of Louisiana, who now has 8 in the ball game. And these are important reps too. You know, it's not so much position-based when you talk about the last 5 to 8 guys on the roster, and Ogunbowale, Roman Hemby trying to make a spot here.
I think we can't forget also too about this practice squad. You got 16 players, and we've seen the early parts of NFL seasons. How many times we've seen a guy called up from the practice squad week to week squad as well, who are one play away from going in.
Those are rolled out right into a heavy pressure. It
Number
is
80 was an
Duggar
eligible
again.
receiver in the area. 3rd down.
Now, they did say that there was a receiver in the area, but it'll be 3rd down and 5.
Got to have your head on a swivel. You're just going to see this blitz coming, and you don't want to run a boot or a naked into an unblocked 2 look, and that's a free rusher, and that just comes with experience for the young quarterback. He had no chance in this situation.
How can you see that late though? With that late
2-point stance, we don't want to boot into that look, and that just comes with experience, seeing the linebacker come from depth.
Raiders are 6 of 10 on 3rd down. This is 3rd and 5. Trying to keep the play alive downfield, and he throws it away. And so the Raiders will send out Matt Gay to try a 54-yard field goal.
Just watch Benson. This is a bad rep. Just watch the scramble. Okay, keep an eye on 19. Okay, he gets knocked down. Now he gets up. Now watch. Oh, yeah, he gets out of the pocket. That's where you got to come to life.
Matt Gay's 3 for 3 in the ball game. This from 54, and it's no good. Back to the ground at Jordan James. Cameron McGrone through the hole to make a tackle after a gain of 1. That's how I feel like a lot of people at home on a weekly basis screaming at their TVs. What's so hard about that?
It's difficult. Watch 57 here. Go see. You see space, go run space. You go make a nice little tackle for loss. That's a nice job by McGrone, seeing it and going to go make a play untouched.
McGrone 4 games with the Colts last year. Signed with the Browns, played 1 game in Cleveland. Former 5th-round pick of the Patriots back in 2021. Been a lot more on the special teams. And another
So with these centers not snapping
penalty.
the ball.
Yeah.
Jeez, oh man, sleep at the wheel. Those are the kind of
False
mistakes.
start. Offense. Everybody but the center. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Rich, you've been in the NFL either a player or as an announcer now for 40 years. Have you ever had a game where that has been called 3 times?
It's unbelievable. You know, there's one thing coaches won't tolerate, and it's pre-snap penalties. Like, you know, it's hard enough to make first downs, but when you're constantly going backwards, and I know a lot of plays on my play call sheet for 2nd and 14. That's the problem.
Well, John Hussey's had some practice calling that. Watkins on the quick throw. There's McGrone again. So last week we saw a lot of Shegu Alubi making some plays on defense. He's been known for special teams. Same for McGrone. It's 3rd and 12.
So the one thing that you'll notice when a lot of these guys who are on the field now, to me, these are guys who are primarily special teams players, and they're getting their opportunity on defense. So one thing you will see are guys flying around and making plays.
Yep. Niners are 0 of 7 on 3rd down here in this ball game. Raiders have only allowed 9 points after the first quarter last week in Houston. They back out of the blitz. They come with 4. Martinez to Watkins again. Beautiful touch just over the outstretched arms of the corner, Devin Perkins. That's a pickup of 19.
You always hate when you have, watch the rush on the outside. Watch this good rush. You feel like you waste a rush. Jafari Harvey gets up. He's almost there. You need him to hold it for a beat. But a nice throw. You got to give Martinez a nice pat on the back on this one. A nice throw right over the safety, right in front of the corner for the connection.
2:45 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Raiders had a more than 7-minute, 15-play drive. Came up without points. Fly sweep to Watkins. Raiders stretch it out. Dalton Johnson, the 5th-round pick. You know, the Niners have this plethora of wide receivers. We talked about it earlier. No team's keeping 8 wide receivers.
Right.
And so, you know, there are teams all around the league who are looking at some of those 6th, 7th, 8th guys for the Niners, being like, hey, do they fit for our roster?
Well, that's just one position. I mean, I think every organization's got scouts, advanced scouts looking at both these teams. Everybody's looking for ways, creative ways to improve the roster this week.
Jordan James has the first down. Greedy Vance again on the tackle. It is 1st and goal, San Francisco, as we tick inside of 2 minutes here in the 3rd quarter.
Well, this is where I've seen the Raiders defense today stand tall. They force field goals inside in the red zone here. So this is where guys have to find a way not only to bow their neck, but more importantly, I've loved the coverage down here. It's been very sticky coverage. We saw in preseason game number 1, guys having to finish. This is where man-to-man on the outside is paramount.
Martinez has the tight end, Hayden Rucci, in as a fullback. To the air, he's got Rucci, reaches for the goal line, touchdown San Francisco. Now there is a flag down that was in the backfield, so we will see if this touchdown for San Francisco stands.
Personal foul, illegal low block, offense number 29. 15-yard penalty for previous spot, 1st down.
You know, watch here, and then the block's going to be right there. See, late, you got Patrick Johnson gets up, and then you have the defender. It's almost like a high-low. You had one guy who was going for him, like he was going to block. He bluffs, and then goes out for the score. But gets a running back.
I think it's a bad call. I think he was clearly disengaged.
And now you got another penalty coming up.
Pre-snap penalties. Jeez, oh man.
This is about to be the 7th penalty on the
Full
49ers.
start. Offense number 67. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
We talk about it. You can't have these kind of mistakes in the red zone area. We talk about no penalties, no sacks, and no turnovers. Been impressed with what I've seen from this Raiders defense tonight, though, guys.
Yep.
I think the execution, I think the assignment,
especially from the cornerbacks and safeties.
Well, Patrick Johnson and Kieran Crawford, those two guys coming heavy. They get it out on a quick throw, and Dalton Johnson, there's the tackle you were talking about. Nowhere to go for Kaderil Hodge. And now it's 2nd and goal from the 30.
You know what's great to see? You just can't see it from, you just watch.
Watch the clinic tape right here. Watch how he comes to balance. You see that? And he finishes. That's good tackling by Dalton Johnson, one of those draft picks this year for the Raiders, a guy who's starting to see more and more playing time, and there's the reason why right there, a solid tackle in the open field.
Dalton Johnson, the pick used by the Raiders when they sent Tyree Wilson to New Orleans. Over the middle, batted up in the air, and it was behind Greedy Vance off the deflection. It was Shegu Alubi in on coverage. And again, we talked about this last week, Kirk, on the radio broadcast. Alubi's not a guy who's played a lot of defensive snaps in his career, mostly special teams, but he had some good ones last week.
And watch what he just lets the quarterback's eyes take him to the play. He sits in his zone, waits for that quarterback to deliver the football, and almost
down to 1. They get it off. Raiders come with 4. Martinez escapes the pocket, left it short, incomplete. Cameron McGrone in on the coverage on Rucci. And so what looked like a Niners touchdown, the penalty took that off the board, and they will have to settle for a lengthy field goal attempt.
You know,
there is a Raider down, slow to get up. It is Kieran Crawford.
Out of the corner of my eye, I've been watching 98 on the boundary. He's practically coaching. He's jumping up and down. You love to see your veteran leaders that care about their teammates in the preseason.
All right, so with this timeout, as they look at Kieran Crawford, we've got a timeout here on the broadcast with a 48-yard field goal coming up.